Good morning, everybody. Jay Womack, founder and CEO of Infinity Workforce Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our webinar will begin in just a few minutes. I appreciate y'all sitting on hold. While we're here waiting for everybody to jump on, I want to give a special shout out to our existing clients that are here with us today. You are proving to your entire workforce that safety is your number one concern, it's your number one priority, and we appreciate that because we are very, very good at delivering training for safety, for orientation, for ongoing corrective action, and you obviously have taken the jump into the company right now and you're using it, you're saying that your people are valuable to you, and that's exactly what we want, that's what you want, that's what your people want to hear. So we do have all the answers. We know exactly what we're doing in web-based training. We've been doing this for 15 years, but I have a special offer today for our prospects that show up. We'd like to offer you a 30-day free trial using our system completely. See what it's all about. See if you like using something like this. You know, remote training has jumped to the forefront of the world. In the last 90 days, the world has shifted, it's changed. Remote training, we are the experts. We know more about remote training than virtually anybody in the entire, world, universe. So I want to offer the 30-day free trial. Time offer is limited. Yeah, we can't make this go on forever. I wish we could. I'm even going to throw in a CSR rep, a client service rep that can make this thing hum for you, get user activity up on the system, because that's the key, get your people to use the system. I don't care how many bells and whistles you've got, if they're not going to use it, it's not going to have an impact for your company. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. We want to see your top line and bottom line improve. We want to see your safety record improve. That's what we do, and we do that better than anybody out there. Thanks for sticking with me. In the meantime, it's what you came for, it's the webinar. So Mark, if you're ready, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. This is Craig Hart with Infinity Workforce Solutions. With me today is Mark Rhea, as always. Just to share some additional details about that trial offer, that is something that we're making available to those of you who are not familiar with Infinity Workforce and what we do. We do want to allow you to have access to our platform for 30 days at no charge, so you can take advantage of assigning out training and evaluating reporting and all these other things that we are able to offer. So please, 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 if you're not familiar with what we do and how we do it, we'd love to show you how, so please take advantage of that. We'll have more details about that as we go later into the presentation today. But our focus today is on National WorkZone Awareness Week. That is coming up here at the end of this month of April, and it is time to get ahead on the plans that you are going to be doing with your team in regards to acknowledging this, training for this, and so forth. We want everyone on this call today to go orange this month. And as with all of our calls, this is a participatory exercise for our audience. So please open up your chat windows if you have not done so already. You can find that under the More button on the menu at the top of the page there. We want to know where you're coming from, who you are. So please fire off a quick little message there into the chat window and let us know. We'd love to hear from you, who you are, where you're coming from, and who you work with. So love to hear that right now. And then let's go ahead and bring on or introduce our speakers today. Again, my name is Craig Hart. I'm with Infinity Workforce Solutions, and with me today is Mr. Mark Rhea. He's a very, very good friend of ours. He is an advisor now, but has over 35 plus years experience in the transportation industry. He is one of you, worked predominantly with Frozen Food Express out of Dallas, Texas, a group that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And Mark, who is joining us today?
Well, thank you for introducing me. And we've got Maria Robertson from Washington, D.C. She's the executive director for ATSSA, the American Traffic Safety Services Association. 1,500 members nationwide. Their responsibility is to promote safety in the work zones. Today is April the 8th. The ice and snow is either cleared or clearing up, and construction activity is obviously on the ramp up and active, which produces a hazard for our drivers going through those work zones. They do a lot of work, not only with the motoring public going through the work zones, but the workers in the zones. They do certification for flaggers, for pavement marking technicians, for the traffic control design that goes in to a work zone. And joining her also will be Mr. Dan O'Brien. Dan works in the risk assessment world from the insurance and claims point of view, up close and personal with crashes that occur not only in work zones, but everywhere, but does a lot of work in the work zone world, and can help our audience understand how they can prepare their company and defend their company, and just give us a really good insight on best practices that are out there.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Awesome. Well, we wanted to set the stage today with a little dash cam video about accidents in work zones. This is a real video. This was an incident that occurred in Nevada on US 93 North. It's about 40 seconds here, just to help set the stage. There's actually events happening off camera behind this vehicle that we're viewing out from before. And you're very quickly going to be seeing an 18-wheeler enter our picture here, and the unfortunate flag man who has to try and stop this from occurring. So this driver of this tractor trailer admitted they fell asleep at the wheel in this construction zone. They actually hit 4 different vehicles, 3 cars, including the one that you see on the screen here, as well as another tractor trailer. Killed 2 people that day, and will be going to prison for that. So, but they were driving fatigued, admitted they did so at the scene of the accident. This is the sort of thing that why we're having this event today. These sorts of things we need to help minimize, and we have the power to do so as members of the transportation industry. Now, Maria, I'll let you go ahead and turn it over to you. I'm sure there's some folks on the call with us today that are not familiar with ATSSA, and we need to bring them up to speed.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Mark, for the introduction. And hello, everybody. My name is Maria Robertson. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for ATSSA, despite the promotion that Mark kindly gave me. As mentioned, I work for the American Traffic Safety Services Association, which is a not-for-profit membership association that supports roadway safety through education, advocacy efforts, and a strong member network. Sorry, Craig, I should give you the cue there.
That's okay. I'm catching up.
Okay. Right. So, ATSSA's core purpose is to advance roadway safety. Yes, advanced roadway safety, that is what it is. We do this through our member base of over 1,500 member companies that are nationwide, through participation in 28 chapters that are in 45 states and DC. So we don't have quite all 50, but we have a good majority of them. And we do this by participating in events like this and with many like-minded organizations that are, you know, in the roadway safety as a important part of what they do, which is important to you, right? So today, next slide, I'm here to talk to you about a very important public awareness effort that we sponsor, and that is National WorkZone Awareness Week. This is an annual spring campaign held at the start of construction season that encourages safe driving through roadway work zones. And the key message is for drivers to use caution in work zone. This year, National WorkZone Awareness Week is April 26th through the 30th, and our national host is the Michigan Department of Transportation. The theme for this year is Drive Safe, Work Safe, Save Lives, and we are supporting 3 days of events. April 26th is Work Zone Safety Training Day. April 27th is the National Kickoff event in Michigan, and the 28th is Go Orange Day.
Excellent.
Yeah. So just a little bit of history about National WorkZone Awareness. Like I mentioned, it's an event that takes place across the United States with partnership with State Department of Transportation's National Road Safety Organizations, government agencies, private companies, and individuals. And this campaign got started back in 1997 when a group of the Virginia Department of Transportation staff wanted to dedicate a week to raise awareness about work zone safety among all district employees before construction projects picked up during the warmer months. Following a successful promotion of this very first event, VDOT brought the idea of raising awareness to other DOTs. So 22 years ago, in 1999, other states joined the campaign. It's really worth noting that National WorkZone Awareness Week is conducted in partnership with other major groups as sponsors, the Federal Highway Administration, the American Association for State Highway Transportation Officials, the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carriers Association, and really many more. So it's a big effort. Next slide. So our hope is, through this public awareness campaign, we're able to save lives on the roadway workers across the country about communicating how to safely operate in and around work zones. That really aligns with this year's theme: drive safe, work safe, save lives. So let me tell you just a little bit more about the theme. While those three phrases seem obvious, the drive safe is a reminder that work zones need everyone's undivided attention. When approaching work zone, motorists should always slow down, follow all posted signs, be alert, and remain calm. Risky driving behavior affects more than just the driver. Everyone's lives and families are at stake. Work safe. Technology is helping to make work zones safer by collecting data and automating processes, which can remove workers from dangerous situations and provide motorists with important information. It is also a reminder that work zone safety begins with workers who are dedicated to safety. Save lives. If we all work together, we can achieve 0 deaths on our roads and in our work zones, which is, the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. I think everyone on the call can agree that is a valuable purpose and aligns with their mission as well, to keep their drivers safe and on the roads moving goods back and forth. So
absolutely. So here's just kind of a snapshot of facts around National WorkZone Awareness Week. And I know you can read the slide, but I'm going to say it, some of these stats just because they are important, and they resonate when you hear them out loud in a different way. Total work zone fatalities. In 2018, there were 757 of them. In 2019, 842. That by type, the drivers and passengers, the increase went from 621 in 2018 to 690. Pedestrians and bicyclists, 131. Increased to 140 in 2019, and then others were 5 in 2018 and 12 in 2019. And not included in this image of 2019 data are the 247 of the fatal crashes involve trucks. And I know that's important to this audience. And of those 842 fatalities in 2019, 130 of them were actual workers in the industry. So not just the drivers and not just the passengers, but people working.
Okay. So 247, that's a full third of the crashes involve trucks, involve large trucks. And so it's one of the reasons we wanted Maria here today, everybody, is that this is a number that we have the immediate ability to impact and to lower. So it's super serious. And the goal here is, we're several weeks out from the event taking place on the 26th, focusing on what your organizations can do to prepare your drivers to be mindful. Mark and I will probably talk a little bit about driver complacency here in a little bit, because it is a real phenomenon that actually I'm sure Dan will support once we start talking about that. But this information here,
So,
this is not new to us in the driving trucks. So
right. Yeah, leading cause of construction zone crashes, driver inattention, handheld devices, eating, drinking, programming, navigation, multitasking. We all think we can do it, but in reality, we can't. Speeding, exceeding the posted highway speed limit, failing to acknowledge construction zone signs. Puts you at danger, puts people at danger too that are out there on the roads. And then distracted driving. 2,841 lives were lost in crashes involving distracted drivers in 2018. And I think we would all agree that's 2,841 too many. There are 23,000 approximate number of people who died in crashes involving distracted driving over the time frame of 2012 to 2018. Just a staggering number. In the last 7 years, 9% of the crashes that were fatal involved distracted drivers. So not a small number.
no, not at all.
Not at all.
So in 2020, we have early data from the National Safety Council, and 2020 was just not a banner year. 2020 had the highest traffic fatalities in the past 13 years. That is an 8% increase despite the drop in driving from the pandemic. So that's really quite unfortunate. And that represents 42,060 people who died and 4.8 million that were seriously injured. So for 13% fewer miles traveled by motorists this past year, and that's all inclusive, there are a 24% increase in the rate of death. That's the biggest year-over-year increase in 96 years. That's the wrong trend.
Absolutely. No, that is it's almost counterintuitive. The more of the information we see coming out of what happened on the roads in 2020, more speeding, more accidents, and we all sit there and go, but everybody was at home. But the people that were on the roads, quite obviously there were challenges, and we need to turn this around. So we need to turn this around and be able to do our part. All right.
Yeah.
So how can people turn this around?
So how can people turn this around? So so those stats are many of the reasons we started National WorkZone Awareness Week and are trying to build awareness. So we've organized 3 days, and our first day is WorkZone Safety Training Day on April 26th. And we start the week off, which we want to emphasize the importance of laying the groundwork for safety through training of personnel. Companies are encouraged to pause during the workday, the beginning of the workday. I know that's a lot when people do it, for safety demonstrations, discussions about safety policies, and other prevention tips. The National Stand Down, as we call it, encourages employers and workers to pause voluntarily, and to take training in recognize training in hazardous conditions, and even simple things like fall prevention, protective methods, the company's safety policies, goals and expectations. On day 2, that's our national kickoff event. And as I mentioned, Michigan is the national host this year, and that rotates state to state. Next year will be in Virginia. Where the whole National WorkZone campaign began. So they're having it on Tuesday, April 27th, and they have some important speakers. The governor is invited and expected to be there. The director of the Michigan State Police, the director of Michigan's OSHA. They have invited someone from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and our organization's chapter president, as well as scholarship recipients. And scholarship recipients are those family members who have lost a family member and through our foundation have received a scholarship. But in this case, Emily, who is expected to be there, her father was killed 2 years ago on one of the projects. This event will be live streamed at 11 a.m. Eastern. And Craig's going to share with you that link separately. Of course, it won't be live till that day, but it is live streamed for other people to watch.
It's also worth noting that there are other states that are hosting their own particular events in regards to work zone safety at that same time. So if you want to find out if your state is doing something, if it's one of the 45, the Department of Transportation for your state should have the details of that upcoming event and what they are planning on doing, and even potentially have suggestions on what your companies can do to participate and highlight that event to your drivers and other staff.
Absolutely. I know California is a big state that, well, obviously a big state, but is one that does a lot of activity. Texas, North Carolina, Florida. Again, there's 45 states, and most of their websites do indicate what they're planning. So for us, we have a big social media effort on Wednesday. So the next slide, Craig. Go Orange Day on April 27th. And that's a way to promote work zone safety through social media. To wear orange and share how you're participating in Go Orange Day with us using the hashtags Orange for Safety and NWZAW. If that's not a mouthful, I don't know what it is. This year celebrates our 6th year for our social media campaign, and everybody knows that increasingly younger people and all audiences on social media. So we want you to be there with us. This event has become a staple of our campaign. Next slide, please. And it's time for individuals and organizations across the country to express their support in an effort to stop work zone crashes. The first event was introduced by the FHWA as a new component in 2016, and ATSSA has since organized and sponsored a social media campaign as part of the contribution. Over 100 organizations and DOTs, including many of our members from across the country, have posted images. And here you can see several of them from past years, different workers who share what they've been doing and different images with the hashtag right there, just as a reminder one more time. And next slide again is just a few more staff, our staff at my headquarters office and one of the DOT staff offices shared their image of how they're showing support. The more awareness we bring through our hashtag, the more people will just pay attention, stop, pause, be just a little more careful that day, and hopefully, days going forward.
So Maria, anybody on our listening audience could participate and do their own in-house orange or yellow safety awareness.
Absolutely, yes. And and if you go to the next slide real quick, you can see, that's our website for National WorkZone Awareness, and we have lots of, simple resources that help you do your part, or help you if including a Zoom background, that little thing that says, our campaign, a social media profile that you can put around your face. We have a toolkit if you actually want to create an event with some suggestions on how that would work. We have some sample social media posts. If, you just don't feel like you lack the creativity to say we're going orange for roadway safety, we can give you some words to put out there. We have, a couple videos that, we would be happy for you to share, and some training resources, and some accessories, then, wristbands, ribbons, etc. That we offer. But, you don't have to use these, an orange t-shirt works, an orange vest, you name it. And thank you. To flip into our foundation, it's worth noting that we do have a foundation that promotes roadway safety through charitable giving and public awareness programs. Those accessories that we offer support are one of the things that support our foundation. But as the next slide, one specific public awareness program is our National WorkZone Memorial. And this memorial, and there's 3 pictures here, bears the names of more than 1,500 individuals who have lost their lives in work zone crashes. The traditional memorial travels to communities across the country year-round to raise awareness of the need to respect and stay safe on our roadways and in our work zones. And they've now created a virtual work zone memorial that's also available for meetings and events. And, it's really a pretty moving display. The 2 pictures on your right, those are young people who've lost a parent. And they were at our convention, received scholarships. They were fortunate to receive scholarships, but unfortunate the reason why. But they're actually looking for the names of their parent on that wall. And you don't want anybody to have to do that. So, that's mostly it. And just kind of a wrap up, ATSSA offers online training as well to help those on roadways. Everyone is required to do flagger certification, and we have, device training as well as operation and application of truck-mounted attenuators and retroreflectivity for sign inspectors. So you can find that and more on our website. And then just as the last slide here, that we have some online training available, again, for some of these very specific training needs for roadway work zones. So
Excellent.
With that, I thank you very much. Safer roads, save lives. I'd love to have your participation in our campaign.
Absolutely. And it looks like Lindsay has shared the link to the upcoming live stream. So those of you can bookmark that so you can participate that and view that. And I think there's definitely some opportunity there for you all to think creatively about how to acknowledge this. I know that some of you have multiple locations. Some of you have a significant amount of administrative staff. All your administrative staff wore orange or yellow safety vests on any given day. I mean, your drivers are going to take notice and wonder what's going on. So there are things that you can do to draw attention to this, because there is a complacency factor when it comes to driving on roads. There have actually been studies that have determined specific windows of time that even the safest drivers, regardless of experience, will become complacent in their safety habits. And Mark, you and I have talked about this before. It's 30 days after they start with your organization. There's that first complacency window. They're starting to get comfortable. They're feeling their role. It's a great time to assign out additional safety training. Then we jump to 6 months. They've been with your company half a year. They fall back into that complacency window again. And then the third one is 3 years. If your driver that's been with you 3 years is in another window of complacency where they become comfortable and stop focusing on being safe behind the wheel. So even your most tenured, experienced drivers can have these windows of complacency occur. And an interesting phenomenon is that it resets every time a truck driver switches from company to company. So you can have a truck driver with 6 years experience with one organization, and they go to a new organization, and those windows of complacency, they pop back up again. So safety training is critical. And one of the reasons that we wanted to have Dan on the call with us today is he's the backside of what happens, he deals with what happens when there are accidents in work zones involving large trucks. I mean, those are the groups that his clients are. And we do safety training. I know that Dan is very familiar with what we do. But Dan, thank you for being with us today. And
Absolutely.
With groups that we work with, we know we have quite a few clients that are doing consistent ongoing training. But we have others that will make a special point to highlight events like Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. And we also have Road Check 2021 coming up in May. Is that something as an insurance company that you all are paying attention to when it comes to your clients?
Absolutely. Anything that our customers do to help prevent accidents, especially those that are kind of visible, like a work zone accident, similar to a school zone. The stakes are just magnified. We talk a lot about that, and companies that are preparing themselves, arming themselves, are looked at much more favorably from our perspective. And it's a part of a well-rounded safety team and safety program.
Excellent. Now, Mark, I know you love talking insurance. And so I know that you've got questions for Dan that you want to fire off, and probably even for Maria.
I do. And one of the sobering facts that Maria presented is the compounding increase year on top of a year, in spite of the fact that CSA points and violations and fines have doubled, and the government has recognized that work zones are a hazard and placed those increases in fines, but yet they're still compounding 8-10% every year. So what we're doing is not enough. It's just simply not enough. So I'd like to just ask Dan up front about CSA point, violation, fines, and why does the government, states impose those, and are they working?
Well, obviously, they're trying to bring attention to the fact that those workers are out there, are vulnerable. As they try to do their job, they're in harm's way potentially. But also, just any kind of disruption in traffic causes a whole different level of concerns. So I think the fines being doubled and CSA points increasing, it's a result of the fact that it's just recognized that there's a different kind of danger and hazard there, and that those type of accidents are just not going to be tolerated. Again, as I compare it a lot to school zones. It's the type of thing that grabs attention. It's the type of thing that is just tolerated at a whole different level. And there's just a lack of tolerance to those types of violations or accidents.
Yes, and I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyhow. Are commercial trucks exempt from lawsuits that are involved in work zones?
No, absolutely not. I think it's important to recognize that that when litigation occurs, there are certain types of events that are more attractive to plaintiff attorneys. An accident that happens in a work zone is the type of thing that generates a lot of interest among plaintiff attorneys. They look at it as an opportunity to raise the stakes. And, we've probably everybody on the call has heard about nuclear verdicts and the type of the drastic increases in litigation. These are the kind of situations that just beg for a plaintiff attorney to try to expand a claim. So they're going to spend even more time digging into the facts, going through your training, going through your record keeping. An accident that occurs in a work zone is going to be magnified because it gives them an opportunity to expand the claim, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, and I guess a position could be taken that safety professionals, it's assumed that they understand and accept work zones as hazards, and they have a responsibility to train and make their driving staff aware, and even their non-driving staff aware of the work zone as a hazard, and in the absence of that, could certainly be used as an irresponsible safety professional for not doing that.
I promise that's the case. Again, for those of you that have had to sit through a deposition or been able to watch a claim as it works its way through the process, it wouldn't surprise you to know that again, plaintiff attorneys will seize on an opportunity to make you look foolish. And, if you think about the extra hazards and extra concerns with a work zone accident or violation, it makes sense. But again, if you, a good plaintiff attorney will make you look like a fool if you haven't prepared your drivers or your company for these type of things specifically.
And if he's able to make you look like a fool, the dollar amount of those verdicts goes up exponentially.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's absolute.
Well, the other question here is nights. I'm looking here at this picture, limited light, could be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of compounding issues there. What's your experience on claims for crashes in work zones at night?
Well, I think that again, there's a disproportionate severity with nighttime driving and nighttime accidents as it is. We're seeing it. I think anybody that you notice, there's constant construction throughout our roadways, on all different types of roads, city streets, highways, tollways, freeways of all kinds. So in an effort to manage the traffic, you're seeing a lot more nighttime construction, just like this slide here indicates. And again, these claims are usually even more significant on the severity side. I think that there's a lot of factors that go into that. Again, as you mentioned, visibility can be impaired. Impaired drivers are more likely to be out there. And as a professional driver, again, when you throw into the mix an impaired driver trying to merge late or trying to, that causes you problems too. So again, your defensive driving must kick in. Be aware of those types of things that occur at night, but also during the middle of the day. You just got to expect the unexpected.
Yep. And the other thing, and just briefly, the percentage of trucks outfitted with cameras now is obviously increasing, and I would presume that there are events that are triggered with the drivers going through work zone for sudden breaks and rapid turns and things such as that. What would you recommend to our audience as a corrective action if they get an event in a work zone from a camera?
That's a great observation. You have to look at any alert that you get through your ELD system or your camera system as an opportunity. And so it's an opportunity for you to provide training, provide corrective action. And you have to look at it that way, but you also have to understand that these types of things are discoverable. So it's a dual-edged sword. You're going to be more aware as a result of this technology of these opportunities, but then there's also an understanding and an expectation that you do something about it. What can you do? Training is the very best thing you can do, short of actually terminating the driver if they have too many issues. We know with the driver shortage that terminating drivers is absolutely not something that we want to do. So that leaves driver training, specific targeted driver training is the absolute best thing that you can do.
Okay. Craig, does Infinity have some tips and some resources?
That we do. On the slide here on the right side of the screen, everything listed there is a available piece of content that we have in our system. Now, something you're probably going to see very quickly is we have multiple modules on the same subject. So there's multiple items on driving through work zones, fatigue driving, distracted driving, night driving. There is a method to that madness. And that is because consistent training over time is what drives change. Providing one speeding video one time, once a year is not going to drive the behavioral change that you want within your drivers. So Having multiple options on the same subject allows you to revisit that topic, information phrased in a different way or presented in a different style. For example, there are some animated options on here versus some live video options. That is going to help it resonate with your drivers. So these are all items that are available now. And I know that Maria talked about training day being the 26th. But there's no reason that training cannot start before the 26th. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to do this event now. So you have several weeks to put together training items in preparation for this event. You don't want to hit the 26th and then be scratching your head wondering, oh, what do I need to do? This gives you some time to plan some things out, have actually a couple different sessions potentially of training if you'd like, because there's no restriction on the amount of training you can assign. So if you wanted to do something about speeding, distracted driving, and night driving, you can actually have that out today, and then could follow that up and beginning of next week with a couple additional pieces, and the week after that, even more. So there is a method to our madness here in terms of this training, but if this is something that you want to take advantage of, your CSRs can help get this squared away for you very easily and quickly and get that taken care of. Also, if you have custom training that you want to put together, this would be an ideal time for that as well. A message from management in support of National WorkZone Safety Awareness is something that will resonate with your drivers, because that's a message from your organization telling them how important this is to you, to them, to keep them, your drivers, safe on the road and moving forward. So be proactive, everyone. Take advantage of this training. You all, if you are a client of ours, have access to it right now. If you're not a client, we can get you plugged into that demo, and you have access to all of these items and can start that training going out. Excellent. All right, gang. Well, we are reaching close to the end of our information here. Now, we do have the contact information for Mark, Maria, and Dan. So if any of you have any questions, obviously we can take those right now in chat. So feel free to ask us anything there in chat. Just type that out. We'll all be able to see it. But if you have something that you would like to ask off air to any of these individuals, you could certainly do that as well. We want to make sure that you understand how you can participate in National WorkZone Safety Awareness. So please, Maria can help provide you with details. If your company wants to become a partner with their organization, that is certainly an opportunity as well. So Colin, do we have a poll question? Can we get that up on the screen for our attendees if they would like? We can be a little bit proactive and see if you want to, if you would like information about ATSSA, we can let Maria know as well.
I'd love to see some dash cams from some of our audience as well. From your drivers.
I know something else you talked about, Mark, was app usage. What are the apps that companies are using right now to coordinate, communicate, and keep their drivers safe? Excellent. All right. And as a reminder, we are making our trial demo available to all folks. We can get Lindsay to share the link for our trial site that you can sign up for those details. We can also put a poll question up here as well. That should be working this week. We did have issues with it last week. But yeah, we want to show you how you can take advantage of this. This map you see here is just a quick snapshot of groups that we work with across the country. No doubt some of these are names that you all know and recognize and encounter out there. We would love to have you on this map as well. Oh, there's our poll question. Fantastic. So first one, sign me up if you'd like information about the trial. If you'd like to or have questions for Mr. Dan O'Brien with Fundamental Underwriters, feel free to answer question number 2. And if you'd like to get additional information from Maria Robertson about ATSSA, please answer question number 3, and then we will follow up with them individually after the call so that they can reach out to you and get you squared away. All right, as folks are answering those questions. Excellent.
I have one other thing I meant to just kind of highlight.
Sure.
In addition to training, one of the best things that you can do is communicate throughout your whole company, your organization, whether it's if you have active dispatch that's communicating with drivers, is they need to share when they identify work zones. Again, I think we talked a little bit about trip planning and potential apps, but awareness and understanding whether they have, if they're on they go to the same places, or if they're on a dedicated route, that's good. But if not, the best thing that they can do is communicate with each other, let them know when a work zone is, where it is, when they can expect it, and so that they can anticipate it.
That's a great point. I mean, when there are folks on this call right now that probably have their drivers are going through, some of the same drivers going through work zones every single day that they're on the road, especially now that the weather's getting nicer. And it's, I think back just in terms of recent memory, I'm sure we all saw the footage back in February of that massive car pileup that occurred in Fort Worth. It's interesting is that it wasn't surprising to most of us that live here, because that section of I-35 that occurred on has been under construction in some form or fashion for the better part of 10, 15 years at this point. And anytime that happens, that limits the ability for vehicles to get out of harm's way, which is, I know, contributed to some of what occurred there. Was that there was just no way for people, once they were in that concrete canyon there, between the barriers, to be able to avoid hitting vehicles that had already been hit in front of them, which led into that massive, ridiculous accident. I mean, who expects to hear a 100-car pileup in Fort Worth, Texas? Not something any of us have ever seen before, but that absolutely was something that occurred within a work zone, and a long-standing work zone. But still, people became complacent. They've traveled through that area frequently. They expected it to be functioning as normal, and it did not. And some of them unfortunately paid the price for that. So awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and close out our poll here. Great. Well, Mark, do you have any other questions for?
I just got a comment. April 26th through April the 30th is Awareness Week. Promotional activities are abundant: luncheons, dash cam contests, fleet messages. Get the word out there. It will pay dividends in a number of different areas. And I just wanted to especially thank Maria and the work she's doing to help promote that awareness for not only the trucking industry, but the entire motoring population and construction zone people. So thank you very much for that, Maria.
Absolutely. And because the hits just keep on coming, as some of you are already aware, the week after National WorkZone Awareness Week is RoadCheck 2021. After being tabled last year due to coronavirus, that is also yet another item that you're going to need to stay on top of for your organization. There's actually several of these weeks coming up very quickly for your group. Those of you who received the invite for this webinar, and obviously did if you're attending with us today, there was also information about the webinar we are hosting on the 23rd to help you all prepare for RoadCheck 2021, with the focus items this year being on hours of service and lights, two items which are perennial challenges for many trucking companies. Those are the ones that a lot of CSA violations are tied up in. If you have maintenance violations, it's going to be lights, brakes, tires. Lights is always on the list. And then hours of service violations, obviously with the ELD mandate now in place, and becoming even more and more strict about that. So there's something to be aware of. Revisit that email that we send out. We'll also be sending out some reminders to sign up for that one as well, so you can get prepared. But just talking with Mark, it doesn't end in May. Their speed awareness is coming up here also very quickly in June, and others into July. So we've got a busy, mindful summer ahead of us all to make sure that we're staying on top of. So we want to help you all do that. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are also hosting what we call a virtual boot camp next week. Mark and I will be doing that on the 13th. And if we can get Lindsay to put the link in chat for you all, this is something that we make available at no charge. We spend 4 hours. It's going to be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and we're going to go through our platform. That was something that folks asked us to do after several of our large webinars here that we did between November and February. They wanted to see the system. And so Mark and I take kind of a deep dive on training, how to set up training, how to do that strategically, how to build it out in our platform, how easy it is to do, and so forth, so that people get a much better idea of how that program works. So we invite you to join us. If you are not familiar with how we do what we do, we will show you at our virtual boot camp coming up next week. It is, I believe, Tuesday, the 13th, and that will be again from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Time. We know that's a big chunk of time commitment, but we've started running these again. We did one last month. It was very well received, and it's going to be full of information. So you're going to leave with pages and pages and pages of ideas and notes and takeaways. So we're excited to see you. But other than that, Maria, thank you so much for being here with us today. Dan, it's always a pleasure to have you join us. Thank you so much for bringing your insight into how this is going to be, or how this can actively impact a trucking company's bottom line and keep their people safe and keep them on the road. It's more important than ever, everyone. There's more trucks on the road. We're at capacity, and we need to do our part to keep people safe and to bring down those totals of trucking numbers. So excellent. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us again today. We will see you again real soon. And be safe out there, everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.